Hello, model kit builders. So, this is all new to me, so take this as a newbie's guide to make mistakes and hopefully learn how to use this stuff. But these are basically panel line engravers or enlargers. So the first thing I have here is some 3mm hard edge tape, which is basically a guideline for these knife blades to go against. I ordered all these things off AliExpress because for me that's the cheapest place to go. I have no affiliation, so buy the stuff wherever you feel like it, eBay or Amazon or whatnot. This thing, it wasn't listed as MS073. It's just a generic like panel scriber. It says welbo.com, but I don't recall it being listed as that. I guess all you need to know is you just have to look for something that looks like an aluminum pen with a cover and a really big knurled thing, so you can remove this thing. And it has a tri-blade. Hold on here. You would think that would come out easier, but it's not. So I'm not sure what this is. A plastic collet. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can remove this. If you're curious, what diameter is this? I assume you could maybe get other types of blades. This is 2.3 millimeters in that ballpark. Okay. So this collet is actually transparent. That's interesting. So that looks really sharp. Well, I guess you really want to just do it this way. Put it in the brass thing here, and the collet. That'll tighten it down. So this is supposedly like a tungsten steel. Or tungsten, I guess, isn't steel. A tungsten tip. Oh man, that is really sharp. You could put that right through your whole finger. Oof. It's a tri edge. You know, 3-sided, not 2-sided. So we'll have to see how well that works. I better put this cover on so I don't poke my hand up. Now this was a set. And it has no paperwork or anything like that. It just came like this. Okay. So this is an aluminum handle, very similar to like RC tools, you know, RC hex drivers. Yeah, but instead of a metric hex driver, we have these blades. Let's use that to cut this tape. Alright, so there's an extra grub screw, which is nice in case you lose it. If for some reason you lose this hex tool, this is a 2mm hex tool. Okay, so, yeah, alright. And then we have what looks like 6 or 7 blades. Let's see what we have. So, are they marked? Sadly, they're not marked. There's nothing written on this shaft here. So you can see here, so it has like a sandblasted finish, it looks like. I don't know if this is EDM cut. I would assume it's cut with an EDM, but electrode discharge machining, if you don't know what that means. Some cool videos on how that stuff works, but that's how you get really precision cuts. Like, you can have things cut so finely that you can't even see the cut line. Yeah, okay, well, unfortunately, you know, none of these are marked. But I think the listing said 0.1 millimeter up to something, which looks like this one. So the widest one here is 2 millimeters. And let's see where I think one of these would have been the thinnest one. Yeah, I don't know which of these two is considered thinner. They're so thin, it's crazy, right? I don't even know if it's going to register on my calipers because I have tape on them. That's 0.2-ish, maybe more because I'm actually clamping it pretty high up. But I thought, if I recall, one of the listings said 0.1. Yeah, it's probably this one because it's coming under 0.2. So I think it's like 0.1, 0.2, and all the way up to 2 millimeters. So I'm gonna put in the really fine one here. Okay, so I would assume you want to have the grub screw hit the flat, right? And actually I want to have it go in a lot because I want to have more control. The further away it is from the handle, I think the more difficult the tip would be to control. Oh boy, that thing totally fell in there. Oh, but it came out pretty easily. I suppose you could also put it in this way against the grub screw. Yeah, that way it wouldn't bend. I don't know which is the best way, to be honest with you. I'm gonna just go this way. That thing, I gotta put this in and pull it out. I think the threading wasn't really machined very well. So now it's a lot easier because the grub screw pretty much tapped it. Alright, so I just want to see that whole square part of the handle cut. Make sure that's under the grub screw. I don't even think the grub screw is perpendicular to the... It's a little offset. It's at an angle, right? It's not actually going perfectly tangent to the circle. But this was a cheap set, so I can't really expect much. Alright, we have that. Let's get these out of the way. So, you know, actually, let's start with this. It's just a nice big flat piece of plastic. It's like an acrylic box for some sort of model, I forget. And naturally you can do a freestyle. Let's try with this tri-lobe one first. I don't know why you would want to do this freestyle, but well you can. It's very sharp. So that one worked pretty well. Let's try this one. So this is a really big handle with a really large amount of texture. So much so that I think this could actually start hurting your hand after a while. I don't know if I'm supposed to be pulling it this way, but I have a suspicion you're supposed to pull it this way. Kind of like an acrylic cutter. Yeah, I see. If you do it this way, yeah, I think it might... Oh, you know, that works too. I am mistaken. Wow. So both of them work very well. I feel like pulling that makes it really easy to do a curve. Where it's obviously a little, well, it's doable the other way, but I'm pretty sure you want to drag it like a knife. It just feels easier. The tri-lobe, I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, you have like 3 knives, you know? So you can hold it at a shallow angle, and then it's really easy. Okay, so pretty impressive so far by both of them. I gotta say, they're pretty nice. Now let's try some of this tape and see if this is actually worth buying. It was cheap, so I'm not gonna worry if it doesn't work, but I've watched a lot of other YouTubers. Thank you guys. I learned from other channels, and yeah, I just then do my own version just to show like the newbie's take on things. Alright, well, that was that end. So I'm gonna just lay this down here, maybe do a crossover, get some scissors, and then we'll try to do one with a curve. I'm not sure if you can curve this tape because this one's pretty wide. What do you know? You can. Okay, so that's nice to know. I wouldn't think so, tape this wide would curve easily, and this tape is like 3 millimeters wide. But you can see it is a curve, right? Okay, so let's start with this one. We'll try doing this outside curve. Oh, I went up on the tape. So I'm not pressing very hard. I'm pressing very lightly right now. I'm going over it, tracing. Okay, now I'm gonna actually, you know, I'm not even gonna use the handle. Let's just pull out a wider one, because I think, you know, there might be cases where you want to have a wider groove. So I'm just following that previous groove with the angle, like I'm pulling it like a knife right now. Now that that groove is set, I'm going to try dragging it the other way. This is how like acrylic cutters work, it seems. But it might not be right. Well, it definitely works. I think what it's doing is it's harder to manipulate, but it's taking out more material. So that's a pretty big panel gap now. Quite rough, actually. So that's rough, so I'm going to go to a bigger one and just, I'm going to pull it like a knife. I think that is the better way to do it. Let's see. This one's not wide enough. This one's getting pretty wide. No, maybe that's too wide. Too wide. Maybe this one. Oh, that's cutting into the tape. I think I jumped too much. Yeah, this was too big of a jump. So that's unfortunate. I really wish these things were marked. Alright. Well, I guess maybe this is the next one's smaller. Oh, I went under the tape. So yeah, you gotta be really careful dragging this. But that's a really, really deep gouge now. So I'm not even gonna bother showing the straight one. I mean, the straight one is gonna be a lot easier, right? Being straight. Okay, so you get the idea. This is actually kind of wide to do a first pass with, I think. I think you should probably start with the very thinnest one. It'll be easier. See, I went above the tape there. And then you progressively get bigger and bigger. Alright, so that's that whole set of the chisels. I guess we'll call those chisels. Whereas this is like a tri-lobe, three-sided. So I'm going to go on this side. I'm a righty, so... Now, I'm going to basically pull it like a knife again. Lightly pulling against that tape. I may have wandered. I think I wandered there. Yeah, I wasn't against the tape there. I saved it though. Well, one thing I can say, I think I like this one more because it starts at a very fine point, and the more I drag, obviously it gets bigger because this thing literally gets bigger also. So, whoa, that's totally perpendicular, and it pulled the tape off the plastic. So I think you do want to hold it at some sort of angle. Right now it's like a, I don't know, maybe a 30-degree angle. Alright, I'm going to just write 3 here so we know this is the 3 lobe. Let's pull the tape off and see how smooth these lines look now. Alright. Got this tape stuck to my pen. Alright, you can see where I meandered. This is with the chisel type, you know, this chisel type stuff. And it, you know, I could have been dragging it backwards. That might have happened there. But the 3-lobe one here, even though I messed up in 2 spots at the start, I managed to save it. And I guess both of them are kind of rough on the edges. We really try to get in close. I can't focus on it too well because it's clear. So I apologize. Maybe we should go to other plastic. Alright, well, with very light pressure, you know, either of them does a good job just starting a scribe. And then it's just a matter of, you know, how many passes before you get a really deep. You could really just pass repeatedly and go right through this plastic eventually. So these things are, I assume these are tungsten also, which is a really strong type of metal. Okay, now I'm in the middle of making this little tiny notch-in figure, and this one here, clean up a little bit here. It's got some, you know, pretty big panels here, or here as well. Pretty big and plain panels, actually. So I think I'm going to try to add some panel lines to it. Obviously you have this parting line which works, but maybe I'll run a line from here up or something like that. I might just do it asymmetric. I definitely need to have some of this though to set the straightness. So one thing I guess you might be curious is how thick is this tape? It's like 0.01 millimeters. Okay. I kind of wish the tape was thicker, but I guess it has to be kind of thin in order to go around curves easily. Maybe I'll do this one both. Probably not actually as straight as it should be. Pressing on the plastic. I guess it's the bottom side, so no one's going to see it so much. But maybe I could. Yeah, I don't know about that. Alright, let's see what happens. I prefer the tri-lobe one. I might just do a light pass again, starting right here. Okay. That isn't horizontal. So, I think you might have to do several applications of tape. You know what, maybe it doesn't matter. I think I might just do it asymmetric. I'm going to just start the line over here and not go all the way across. Connecting these two is going to be a little harder. I don't know if I should do that freehand or not. let's go this way now. Oh, look at that. I tore the tape. So the tri-lobe thing actually tore the tape. Granted, I caught it, right? So the initial scribing is done. Hopefully, let's see. I feel like I need more tape to finish this off. I'm going to try to just go over here or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if this is some sort of packing tape, because it's not very thick, you know? I was thinking this stuff would be like a millimeter thick, but 0.1. See, I didn't have the guide tape, and it just dragged off on its own. So this is definitely a lot harder than other YouTubers make it out to be. Yeah, I guess, you know, the other YouTubers, they're more professional model makers, whereas I'm just kind of figuring this out. Almost wandered out of the crack as well. So what's nice about this tri-lobe again is you can pull it to start the thing like this. You have the flat on visible, and then if you want to widen the channel, you turn it 30 degrees. So basically that flat is now digging away a wider part of the channel. So that's what I like about this one. The hardest part, I guess, is just starting the first line and then making sure you trace over that first line very carefully. But once you get at a certain depth, you know, the blade doesn't want to hop out and wander. That one created a dog leg. Okay, so that is, yeah, I guess I can take that tape off. See, it's pretty thin though, right? That panel gap. I don't know if it matches anything. Nor, I don't know if it seems that straight though either, right? It's Determining the corners is a tough one. See, I just jumped through to the other side. So now I am noticing, unless you go really deep, that panel line, that gap isn't going to get much wider than that because this is such a shallow cut. You know, if it was a wider cut, it would dig in more. But I'll literally go through this plastic before that gap is around that wide. So I guess there is a reason for these things after all, because they do come with different widths. Let's just drag this one over these and see what happens. Yeah, okay. I almost feel like it might make sense to wear magnifying glasses doing this. Unless you have really good eyes. Okay, so that one, now the question is, can I widen that? I kind of want it to be a wider gap. Yeah, that seems like an appropriate gap. Oh, look at that, just totally dragged out. Maybe if I drag it in sideways. I almost feel like I should take a saw and straighten that line out. Let's see if this will work. You know what? That actually that worked kind of, using this flat as a saw. That's interesting. I did not expect that, but it pretty much did work. Actually, I'll put this in the channel. Right, it definitely widened it quite a bit. hardest part of these corners, because I'm afraid they'll jump out like it already has. Okay, well, that seems like an appropriate width. Unfortunately, I can't say that's very smooth. You know, the line is quite jagged. Very jagged. So I'm not sure if this tape is good enough. I feel like it's too thin. I see some other things on AliExpress, like these photo etched metals things. This is for a drill, and using that as a guideline. But the hard part is, how do you make this stick, you know, a piece of photo etched metal stick to a piece of plastic without shifting? So that's why I didn't get any of those. Alright, take what you will from that for making this. I don't think it looks very nice. You know, it's clearly that's nice and smooth. This is not. So, yeah. I don't think I'm going to panelight anything like that anymore. The only thing I will use these tools for are this thing here. So, in this case, this is a little Artifact Gundam. And I put too much crazy glue in this little recess. And I feel a hobby knife just isn't going to do a good job getting that glue out of there. So, seeing how like some of these, this is more like a chisel, right? I'll literally chisel that in there. And then bring back, you know, some of that detail by chiseling the glue. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think that's alright. But where this triangle might come in handy are these edges, or there's a valley, right? So if you want to separate colors with paint, it's easier if you have a groove in between the two color separations. So I think that's where this thing might come in handy, like that. It's kind of hard to tell in this plastic. Alright, where else? There was another part I had. This thing here, so a shoulder piece. The way this piece was molded, you know, it's very shallow here. So I'm going to try to create a groove around this. Sure if that's coming through, but I do feel like I just created a small crevice in between the, you know, so I should be able to paint that easier. But you gotta be really careful. See, it wandered too much right there. That's my own fault. So it definitely takes a bit of skill and practice, which I simply don't have right now. But I think I will be able to use both of these tools, to help out some kids in the future. Alright, so that's nice and sharp now. Here, there's no real panel line there. Now there is. So it's very time consuming. This video is already 35 minutes long. Alright, well, you get the idea. These definitely cut very well. I have a hard time thinking they're going to dull anytime soon if you're just using them on plastic. But yeah, overall, they don't create a smooth line. So yeah, that's my general outtake of this thing. Maybe it's a matter of going quickly, right? Once you have a deep enough groove, maybe if you drag it really quick. That seems a little better than over here, right? This one was still meandering because the original line wasn't very good. Alright, well, hopefully you can make a decision based on my experience if you're a newbie. Obviously, if you're a professional, you wouldn't want to be watching this video in the first place. Thanks for watching today, guys. I'll see you around.